Once your mind has been trained for the higher things, you likely think that small talk is not worth your time. And you're missing a big opportunity to get people on board with your next event, project, or even business. Because let's be honest, classically educated people can be tempted to think that this small talker who hasn't read the great books has nothing to offer us. I certainly used to view the world that way, but people absolutely do have something to offer you no matter what they've read. And if you are not seeing what that is, you're robbing your future self of another pair of hands on your next enterprise, even if it's a highly academic enterprise. And I'm not just talking about being more positive and treating every conversation as if it's valuable in a see the good in everything kind of a way. That's nonsense. Many conversations are objectively not worth the time that they take up. And many more conversational topics are not worth your time because they don't align with your particular goals. I'm saying leaders transform the conversation they are in into something that has greater value for all of the participants. And in the next 10 minutes, I can show you how to do it. First, let's look at the 2 mistakes that small talk haters make before they evolve as leaders. The freshman mistake is to try to change the subject forcibly to something that you would enjoy talking about. We've all done this one. It makes you socially awkward and tone deaf. It's what the other person is doing to you right now, and how is it making you feel? But once you've read the great books, you unlock an even worse result of this mistake, because things you are interested in tend to be books that this person hasn't read, and it makes you appear as if you're trying to show off. All kinds of bad, the freshman mistake. The sophomore mistake is the one a lot of you are probably making, and it is to avoid small talk altogether. To say, I don't do small talk, and you're probably proud of yourself for prioritizing your time onto other things than small talk. And you should be, because this is far and above better than the freshman mistake. But you're eventually going to be forced into small talk anyway, so what can you do to make that experience better? Well, there's a third response, and I've already hinted at what it is, but first, let's look at why these two things are actually mistakes. They're both coming from a false belief. It's a false belief that a lot of us have. It's that the topic of the conversation is the point of the conversation. If the conversation's topic is the point and the topic isn't interesting to you, now almost by definition, it is a useless conversation. And unfortunately, we tend to avoid the people that we've had useless conversations with, don't we? But the belief is false. The topic is not the point. Conversations are almost never about the thing they're about. This is why leaders are able to make a conversation into something that's valuable, and you do that in 3 steps. The first step is to step above the conversation. A follower spends his time thinking about what he's going to say next and trying to come up with something that will impress or ingratiate or maybe intimidate this other person. They think the topic is the point and is the sandbox they've got to stay in. Leaders are able to look at the conversation from above. Not that they're above the other person, but that they are taking a bird's eye view of this conversation. Instead of reacting within it, you're studying the conversation as a thing that's happening in time and space. Like you're listening to a piece of music or watching a film in a foreign language. You're getting curious. What's going on here? Why was that his response to that question? Why did he tell me that? Don't make up a response. Get curious why he said it. What does that tell you about him? Where's the conversation going, and where could it go? And if you still wonder what I mean about stepping above, we've actually just executed a step above movement. We were having a conversation called Why I Hate Small Talk. Inside that conversation, there are a very finite number of responses. Change the subject to something you like. Avoid small talk, plus the red herring response of treat everything as if it is fine and dandy. None of those work. So we're raising our perspective above the whole problem, and from up here, there's a new response called turn this into something valuable. I'm realizing now that metaphor maybe sounds the same as changing the subject. It's not changing the subject. It is changing the shape of still this conversation, still this subject that we are talking about. Sounds impossible, but the first step is just stepping above to have that higher perspective. Step 2 is gathering information, which you can now do from up here. Do less talking and more listening. Talk about this person's interests. If he mentions an interest, don't stop to think about whether you are interested in this thing. Ask him for more information. Wait, how does that work? Really, how did you get into that? That is going to give you next level information about who this is. Find what you can admire honestly. That's amazing. I never knew that before. You've really put in the work to understand this. Let him do most of the talking. And once you commit to that idea, you're going to unlock pro-level follow-up questions like, what about that do you love? Not only does this move you from small talk into personal talk, it also solves a problem you may have been thinking about, looking at the conversation from above while still being expected to participate in it. Doing less talking and more listening lowers the threshold for being a participant. You can almost run it on autopilot. That's interesting. Tell me more about that. More listening increases the value of what you are hearing anyway, so it's a virtuous cycle. I'm noticing as the sun goes down, my light is appearing more and more grim in the background. Maybe I should have chosen a different color. Listen for what adjectives he uses to describe good experiences or bad experiences. What does he value? What does he seem to be expecting from this conversation? Does he want your approval? To impress you with his intelligence or his accomplishments? All of that is visible in small talk if you're above it. You are going to start seeing, the same way you do with your friends, what this person is after in life and how he tries to get it. And he's going to like you for being interested in him. And that's actually it. Step 3 is actually after the conversation is over. You know that person who everyone seems to listen to? He can propose any idea and people seem to get excited about it. If it's a social setting, he says, let's go here. Or if it's a work setting, he says, let's try the project this way. And everybody is instantly on board. What is that? Well, he's not more social than you, and he's not more likable than you. He listened to what those people like, and he described his idea in language that they would like. And you now know what your small talk interlocutor would like. Does that sound manipulative? This was actually the hardest thing for me as a classical man studying leadership. My battery died. I guess it's just as well. In the classical world, it is not our reflex to choose words because other people would like them. That feels sugarcoaty and maybe even deceptive. Why would I describe the truth to you in language that would make you like it more? It's already the truth, and you should like it. That's the thing that gets in our way when we're speaking with shadow seers. Academics use words that are as close as we can possibly get to the reality, because we're talking to people who have the mental apparatus to absorb that idea and even propose better vocabulary that helps us get closer. But when you're talking to a shadow seer, and if you are stuck in small talk with someone, that's likely who it is. You want to use words that get you as close to that person's heart as possible, while still saying words that are true. If you were choosing words to do that to conceal your intentions, that would be manipulation. You using words that he would like to describe something true, that's you bothering to learn his language and speak it to him. So the next time you've got something you hope that people participate in, you know the language that would make it interesting to this person. What kind of adjectives does he use? Use those. What topic does he like? Use the name of that topic. Any related term, use that. Let's say you're planning a party and this guy is really social. Say, can you help me get the word out for this? That's something he already likes doing. That's literally leveraging small talk, his small talk, to do a task that you need done. That's the difference between avoiding someone who isn't interested in the same things you are and recruiting that person. and it'll make him feel needed. Let's say you're desiring feedback on something you have written. Does this guy value interesting new experiences? Don't say, hey, I'm writing this book on this nerdy, obscure topic. Say, you ever done any book review work? Frame it as a new experience. You shouldn't be showing your work just to the academic people. You should be getting that normal person feedback as well. And this is how you bridge the air gap between two hearts when you don't speak the same great books language. It's actually how you bridge the gap anytime you just didn't have to do it because your peers know your same language. And this would make your classical friends feel listened to as well. It's just that learning this wasn't a requirement at classical school for being socially successful. Out in the real world, it is. So that is how to start enjoying small talk. And the other person's going to enjoy it more too. If you are seeking more tools like this on your leadership journey, go ahead and subscribe and check out the Torch Cohort, my year-long coaching program that digs deep into the psychology behind why these tools work and gives you a voice as powerful as your ideas already are. So go out, make small talk valuable, and as always, take care of your souls.